Lately, I've been reminding myself that it doesn't have to be complicated to make a big difference in our home, but I also know how quickly things can start to feel overwhelming if I don't stay on top of the basics. So, over the next couple of days, I'm focusing on getting a few simple things prepped from scratch. Nothing fancy, just the rhythms that help our home run smoother. From fresh milled flour to bone broth, I'm just working through what I can as the days unfold. And by the end, you'll see how just a few small things can completely reset the kitchen and make the next few days that much easier. Stick around while I make some sourdough crackers, some really simple, healthy salad dressings, showing you how I make high protein snacks for myself and the kids, starting some chicken broth and using fresh milled flour for pancakes, and then resetting my entire kitchen. This is Sunday afternoon, and I'm going to try and meal prep a lot of things for the week to help make this a lot easier for us. I'm going to start off with some sourdough discard crackers. I will link that below. And I've done this before on this channel. They're huge with our family. Very delicious. I'm just going to use regular all-purpose flour today. I didn't grind any wheat berries before the baby went down for his nap, so that's where I'm at right now. And after that, I have a few other things on my list. I did just feed the sourdough starter. Hopefully tonight I can get the pretzels and focaccia bread that I want to get started going. And then I also want to do some salad dressings, getting some meat prepped for the week. Just little things like that that should help make the day this week go faster and easier. So I'm just going to quickly whip these together. It does take a long time kind of rotating them out of the oven, especially with the amount that I normally do. So I'm going to get those going first, and then I can start mixing everything else together. I'm just going to do this recipe times 2, so it's really, really simple. But first I need to turn my oven on. Italian seasoning and the garlic powder is what I'm using today. I didn't feel like shredding cheese and making cheese crackers, which you could totally do in this. And this may seem like a lot. That was 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, but we like our seasonings around here. And then this, there isn't much left in here. Need to fill that. Just gonna mix these together, and then I will add the flour. If you were using the freshly milled, the ratios would probably be just a tad different. I definitely prefer using my fresh ground flour for this because of the nutritional benefits, obviously, but I don't know. All-purpose flour, since I've really learned what it is, just feels like dead flour, dead food. So I guess it really is just the nutritional value. But obviously, all-purpose flour is going to come out much softer. And if this is your first time, definitely learn what the texture is supposed to be like. And it'll just be that much easier if you do ever decide to switch over to fresh milled flour. Really, any recipe that calls for all purpose, you can convert to a fresh milled flour recipe. It's just going to need different steps in a way. So if this was a fresh milled flour, I would definitely be letting it set for probably about 15 minutes or longer on the counter to ferment and soak in the liquids. When you are using fresh milled flour, you do need to give the flour time to soak up the liquids that you are using because of it being more nutrient dense, and all three of the parts of the wheat berry are in it. So it is definitely helpful in that aspect. So you do not add too much flour thinking that it's not the right texture or consistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a quick apple cider vinaigrette for salads and dipping sauces and stuff for the week. Sorry, the thunderstorm just really hit and it's pouring outside. So instead of using fresh garlic, I'm just gonna use garlic powder because I don't feel like peeling right now. It's just one of those lazy days where I'm trying to get stuff done to better prepare myself, but don't really want to do extra, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to use this, and this is from this cookbook. It's the Downshiftology Healthy Meal Prep. There's a lot of good things in this, especially if you're more on the vegetarian side. Highly recommend that. The crackers are going, so that's why I'm going to get this done now. So I'm going to double this recipe because we really like vinaigrettes and salads and stuff in this house. So all of this is from Azure Standard. If you haven't heard of them, they're like a co-op where you go once a month to your local drop site and you pick up your order. So things like organic raw apple cider vinegar, ginormous things of oils, wonderful, wonderful large herbs. Absolutely love them. If you haven't done it, I'll put my link in the video description box below. It's an affiliate link. We each get money if you make $100 or more purchase within the first 1 or 2 months of clicking the link. And so it's just a nice way to help support us, and also a really good company that has really good products, and I absolutely love it. So check that out. You heard my crackers, I gotta check on those. And I do like to measure with my heart a lot. You'll learn that if this is your first time watching me. What's up, honey? You come in and watch. I'm gonna use an herb salt that my sister-in-law made me.
Who, me?
Not you.
Piper?
No, Aunt Rachel. You could add honey to this if you wanted. It's really simple. I can't remember the last time I really bought a salad dressing because these are just so simple. And so that jar is probably too big. But so I'm not doing honey because I'm trying to steer clear of as many carbs and sugars and such as possible. And honey,
can I see it inside?
yes. And unfortunately, honey is one of those. Oh my.
The sauce smells good.
I forgot the garlic, didn't I?
What you doing?
Something. Still in the way.
So I buy from Azure Standard. This is a pound of garlic powder, and then I just put it in these, in my mason jars. We like our herbs and spices around here, so buying them in bulk like this not only saves us money, we get better product. Whew. So now I have to order more. This is all I have left now. And I like a lot more than this in my house. Canning lids. Sometimes they don't go on so easy, but there you go. Homemade dressing. I did make ranch the other day too. I just used sour cream and half with a bunch of herbs. But ranch is also another really easy thing. You can do it with mayo, with sour cream, with buttermilk, obviously, half and half whipping cream. So many different combinations you can do. You just have to have the herbs of like dill, chives, and all of that, which again I get from Azure Standard. Or sometimes, you know, grocery outlet up here if I don't need that much. But Salad dressing, super easy to make. Last night I made a batch of hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot. I did about, I think, 9 of them. And I just did the egg setting for 3 minutes and then immediately released pressure and put it into an ice bath. And then I've had them in the fridge overnight to hopefully help with peeling, because I do get farm fresh eggs from my friend. And if you've tried to peel one of those, you know how annoying it can be. There are a lot of tricks out there, especially steaming them in the Instant Pot is supposed to be making it easier. But for me, that has not always been the case. So I'm going to make some deviled eggs for snacks for myself and the kids this week. I did cook up some bacon last night too to add to this. Again, I'm trying to do a lot of keto type. That has worked so well for me in the past. Oh, that was really simple. Because so I'm trying to do keto. It's worked for me really well in the past. When I was newly postpartum, or I should say with my second child, I got up to quite a bit. I gained 60 or 80 pounds with him, and I had never lost my weight from the first one. I was not walking very well. My back was really bad, sciatica, all the things. And then one of my nursing friends told me about that documentary Magic Pill, and I learned about keto. And within less than a year, I lost 80 pounds. And before that, I had actually been pretty struggling with fertility. My first was IVF with my ex for a whole host of reasons. But anyways, and then my second with my PCOS that I used to have, and still have bouts of, I should say. I had to do medication, and so when I lost all the weight, we kind of continued to get pregnant. It just doesn't stop. I was no longer insulin resistant for a long time, which is part of PCOS if you didn't know. And PCOS is an autoimmune disease, along with, I think personally, infertility definitely goes hand in hand with all of that. So when you can get certain things under control in your endocrine system, I really believe that insulin is a huge thing in our culture with all the processed foods, with everything having sugar. The deviled eggs, honey. So we've had several kids since then. We have 5 total. And every time I would start keto, I would get pregnant. So after my third baby, my third one, I started doing keto again, and we got pregnant again. And then I started doing keto again, and we got pregnant again. And it's just, so I haven't done it in a long time. I did do it over fall for a little bit and lost some weight pretty quickly. It's just what my body needs because of the insulin. And if you haven't really heard about insulin resistance and what it does to your body, I will link a really good video below for you guys to watch from an internal medicine doctor. And it's definitely helpful to see. For someone like me, fasting doesn't necessarily work long term. I don't care what people say about water fasting. I definitely believe you shouldn't eat all the time, but anyway, I'll put that below for you guys to watch if you guys are interested in that aspect. Definitely ask me anything in the comments otherwise. But for you, I'm sure most people know what keto is by now. It's like very low to no carb, and it's where your system turns, when you don't have your glucose anymore because you've depleted your glucose stores from not continuing to have those intakes, the carbs and all that such. Your body starts using your fat stores and converts that into ketones for energy. And what this particular, what this particular video that I'm linking below talks about is how it cleans out your brain and your all of that. This one did not peel so pretty, but it was cracked. So again, highly recommend. So eggs and all that things, and meat, good veggies, things like that. So I already have mayonnaise made.
But no, I don't.
Yep.
Oh, they already done more.
Yep. I like the eggs cooked about this because it does not dry out my deviled eggs, in my opinion. I'm sure everybody has a different way of doing this. I'm just personally going to do mayonnaise, mustard, and this is the homemade mayo that I've shown you guys before. Woo! I'm going to add some smoked salt this time. Little pepper. Using a fork for this would be a lot better. I am definitely not a fancy cook, so these are going to be looking a little rough, but they tasted all the same and have already been eaten. These are a really good high protein snack for myself and for my children, just so that we don't reach for the unhealthy things if I even have them in the home. And as you can see, I did burn some of the crackers, but you know what? Those were the first to get eaten. So it really is a very hard recipe to mess up. And it is so versatile. Like I said, you can add cheese to it, you can add different herbs to fit your taste, and then they store wonderfully on my counter in this jar until they are absolutely gobbled up. Now, I have a lot of chicken bones that have been accumulating in my freezer, and so I have just decided to go ahead and start roasting the bones and making the bone broth that I will eventually get to canning. As of right now, several days later after this, it is still in my refrigerator, but I will get to it probably this weekend to can it up. And I have shown you guys that process several different times. I like to roast my bones with apple cider vinegar. I think it really gives it a nice taste and added benefits. I know it cooks it out, but still, I like to pretend that it gives me good benefits. And I did let that sit for several hours. While that was roasting, I did start some whole grain pancakes, and I'm kind of testing using just buckwheat here to see if this is something that would freeze and then be good to take on the road trip with us, something that we can just pop out and snack on, or the children rather, not myself. And it came out really well. My kids really liked the smell of them for some reason, but I did notice that the buckwheat has more of like a peanut butter type smell, at least to me. I don't know. Has anyone else been grinding buckwheat? Does it smell like that to you, or is it just me? But it's definitely a very sweet smelling thing for me. One of the reasons that I am making the pancakes tonight is because I don't like to grind my flour in the morning for obvious reasons. And sometimes, well, most of the time, I'm just not a morning person. And making breakfast in the morning is super hard for me to have motivation to do. So having things along these lines ready, prepped for me just to either throw in the toaster oven or literally just tell my kids to go and grab them really helps our mornings and our days go so much smoother. I know that's so weird to some people. I just don't like mornings. I did night shift for probably about 2 decades in the military and as a nurse, and I am just that is not me. So, I'm playing to my weaknesses and meal prepping as best I can, and like I said, testing for our road trip that is coming in May. The recipe did call for 2 tablespoons of baking powder, but to me that was just way too much and I only did 1. And I'm glad that's all I did because they came out just fine. So if you are going to be doubling or anything with this recipe, keep that in mind. My cast iron skillet, for some reason, did not get the oil after it was cleaned, so I am trying to heat it up and simultaneously melt the coconut oil into it so that my pancakes do not stick. The first time I tried to flip them, they were quite sticky. As you'll notice here, I'm really struggling with them. But after this round, every subsequent round was absolutely fine. I find cast iron very hard to cook with because we don't have lard necessarily to keep up with the cast iron. Coconut oil is the best thing that I have available. And while it is doable, a lot of things are not as, non-stick as I would like them to be, which is why I also have my other types of pans. Don't think that in order to cook from scratch or to homestead that you absolutely have to have cast iron. I typically loathe my cast iron, but they do have their purposes. I like using it to make things like this. And with the bone broth, I did add my frozen veggie scraps that I have been keeping. I have quite a bit in there. And then I went ahead and added a whole bunch of Italian seasoning and salt, and I let it go overnight. So once I really took a look at my kitchen, I was horrified. It is utterly disgusting, and I don't know how no one's made a comment, or maybe I'm just really picky, but as you can see, it is a very lived in, worked in kitchen, and I have lots of tiny hands and fingers everywhere. My pull-out trash can is literally covered in things, and I am showing this to you so that hopefully it'll help motivate you to clean your spaces. And I am also just showing you that I am a normal person. I am not here to be Pinterest worthy, Instagram fancy, that kind of thing. This is everyday life with a large family, and we homeschool, so we are always in this space. My son is really interested in the military recently, so I was trying to teach him how to tie knots with some paracord this day as our homeschool lessons, while myself and my oldest child tackled this mess of a kitchen. I actually gave her the option of doing schoolwork or helping me clean the kitchen, and she chose helping clean the kitchen. Go figure. So we started off using just warm water and regular dish soap, but we're finding that it was not getting the grease off of everything like we wanted. And so we ended up using the Branch Basic spray that I have. And this upper part right here, my husband had to come and do for us. And when he was doing it, he couldn't stop saying how even our ceilings are dirty. So we have a larger project at hand, but cleaning the stove, cleaning the cabinets, all that kind of stuff, and then getting down into the floors really is a great way to reset for spring. I know spring cleaning is a big thing in our culture, and there is a reason. We're waking up from winter and we're getting prepped and ready for the busy season. And this is just part of it. My 2-year-old loves to help me sweep, so this is what he's learned to do for me, and I just absolutely adore it. So thanks for coming along with me through these couple of days. This is just what real life looks like in my kitchen. And if you enjoyed this, I think you'll really like this next video where I share more simple, practical meals. I will see you in the next video, friends. Bye.